Hello, my beautiful collective. Welcome to yet another installment of the Healing Podcast with uGogo Mphemba. So, guys, I have been going through it this past week, okay? Namehlo ami nje, my eyes are giving me grief, right? Because I'm on the laptop almost 24/7. Yeah, and this full moon in Sagittarius has really been having a field day with me. You know, I've been an emotional roller coaster, and there is so much work that I need to get done, especially around this podcast in a space of a week, within a space of a week. So, hi. This week has been tough, And as a result, I was not able to respond to my comments episode 6. I see your comments, I read your comments. I just couldn't respond this week because responda ngenhliziyo yami yonke. So I will be responding to your comments, okay? But for now, the show must go on. A few disclaimers before we begin. I am a South African Nguni woman, so I will go into isiZulu, I will go into isiXhosa throughout this podcast. If there is something you don't understand, feel free to engage with each other in the comments. Okay. Secondly, this podcast is based predominantly on African spirituality. Okay. There you go, Makhelwane. So, if you do not resonate with the African spirituality space or understand African spirituality, then this podcast is not for you. I'm actually going to go outside and ask them to stop the hooting. Okay, that went well. Ngoba ngisho guys, this week is not my week. I am an emotional mess. I am a ball of emotions. There's just too much going on. So le huta nje irritator kakhulu. I know some of you like it. No. No, disturb from le messaging me deliver. So in today's episode 7, we are going to look at sexual intercourse. We're going to be zooming in on what sexual intercourse means for you as a human being. Now, uMakhulu has taken us through quite the journey, from giving us an understanding of how we come to be as human beings, understanding how we manifest, understanding why spiritual maintenance is important. She also gave us a very important formula when it comes to romantic love and relationships that we can follow in order to detect is love energy present or is it not present, right? And where there is no love energy, but obviously you will not see the fruits of love, okay? You will not see fulfillment, happiness, joy. You will not see high vibrational energy. She also put us as Tombeni with regards to understanding the different types of romantic relationships there are and how we relate to one another, right? The events that play out within those relationships, okay? And obviously, once we are now in romantic relationships, we have to now interact njani sexually, okay? We now get to a stage where we want to engage in intercourse with one another. But uMakhulu told me this morning in Vuga before you get into a topic yanamhlanje, I want you to teach them how to pray. I want you to teach them how to phahla, okay? Guys, uphahla is a roof, okay? So uphahla means that you go to the people who are sheltering your journey la emhlabeni. Okay, abantu abakukhusele, you go to your ancestors and spirit guides. So Tina, in the closer culture, we have a ceremony which is called a cradle ceremony, imbeleko, that we do, right? For umntwana mayisezelwe simenzela imbeleko to give gratitude to our guides and ancestors, ukuthi umntana ufikile apha emhlabeni safely, and also to then invite them and ask for their presence and protection over umntana, for them to shelter umntana throughout their life journey, okay? So, xa sisithi siyaphahla, that means ukuthi we are going to those who are sheltering us, right? Throughout our life journey, siyocela, siyoceba, siyothulula, siyobulela. So when we pray, right, we politely request assistance from you. Okay, Oba no you. Oh, you are my guides and ancestors too, right? We politely request your assistance with regards to leyo nto ke leyo isubject esikhuleka ngayo. Okay, so whether you pray or you phahla, you still have to communicate effectively. Okay, so this method, you can use it when you phahla, you can use it when you pray. All right. So ke mina awukho umehluko between ukuphahla and prayer, because mina ngikhanyisa amakhandlela ami kuqhuma impepho and then ndiphahle, you know, but it's also still praying because I'm politely requesting assistance from my guides and ancestors. I'm politely requesting assistance from you. Okay, so this method uMakhulu is teaching us, right, is going to help your prayer be received effectively. It is efficient as well, and it ensures ukuthi communication yakho ayikho ambiguous. It's not all over the place. Guys, knowing how to pray and knowing how to pray effectively is very important. Okay? Because communicating effectively ensures ukuthi the result, the answer, is effective. There is a false healer that I've had a huge problem with, especially in the recent month. This healer was famous for ukthakatha. They had a huge chip on their shoulder, and they really affected a lot of people who came to Mphemba in despair. And so I have a relative who's been on my case ngobthakathi, trying to curse me, failing left, right, and center. But I guess once you bewitch yourself in order to curse somebody else, awubusakwazi ukuyeka because you have become a witch, right? So identity yakho, so uzokwenza njani? Uzawuqhubekeka, you'll never stop. So ke ngoku, this relative has been on my case. The last straw for me was when this relative came to my house, you know, and brought stuff to my house. And uMakhulu took time to show me this. But when she did, I said, okay, now this is absolute and complete nonsense. Angeke uzuthakathe uzusuke kwakho uzongithakatha kwami just because I make you uncomfortable, or just because you have a wound that is infected to the point where usuyagula, usuyahlanya, you know. That is absurd. You're not going to come into my space, invade my space, and think because I'm kind, I'm polite, I'm caring, you're going to take advantage. I know how to set boundaries, and I know how to deal with a person who disrespects or crosses those boundaries. I said, now I'm tired. Kudala ngimyeka, ngisitshela ukuthi uzayeke ngoba uyabona le into zakhe asisebenzi, but now I'm tired. I need you to go to God for me. And I need you to communicate this message to God. Yazi angidlali. I wrote a letter. I said to my guides and ancestors, ngendlela engifed up. Hey, when I tell you it's been a rough week. When I tell you what I said, I'm fed up now. I want you to take this letter to God for me. Ngabhala le ncwadi. Ngenza le case break, ngabeka le ncwadi lapha. Three days after ngenze leyo curse breaker, kufika umfana nje, angazi ukuthi ngizothi yini le yanto. Angazi ukuthi ngizothi yini. Is it a creature? It's definitely human looking. Shuthi umuntu owasetshenzwa wagangelwa, I don't know. Ungitshela ukuthi umsebenzi kagogo wakhe this coming Saturday. Le curse breaker ngiyenze nje during the week. This is not this week. It was, I think, 2 weeks ago. Athi umsebenzi kagogo wakhe, and it's short notice. But ke udinga ukubuyela kowabo. Because ke akasekho lo gogo lo. Ukuthi kabanakekele. He told me his name. Uthe yena unguSiyabulela. And then there was also another girl. The girl is Uphila Sande. Uphila Sande, she just lay there. It was like futhi banqunqula izinhloko. Yay, angazi lento bengiyibona. I was so terrified when he came to me. I kept moving back, ngithi yo. And he kept on saying, please don't be scared. Ndicela ungothuki, ndicela undimamele. Yabona? And so he explained ke wacacisa noba uphuma phi and everything. I was like, hayi. Ngizake ndibone. Then I receive a short notice message ukuthi there's a funeral that Saturday of a particular lady. Okay, no, that's fine. Angmas, you know. But that lady, uhlebene nale relative, engazi kahle uthi iyangigangela. You know, the craziest thing was when that person oswelekile came to me, esezochaza intende. Came to me, esezochaza intende. A person I didn't know, I didn't suspect. So, inyanga that this relative was using kicked the bucket. Onke lamayeza that she was taking from lenyanga, bendichisa ngawo, because it burns that thing. I saw it. That thing is like, I don't know what that thing is that they used on me, that they used on my underwear. Bane impahla zami, bane logo yam army green. Bane underwear yami dale yayi beige pink. Inama ribbon amnyama. That lady, obanikeze leo magic potion or whatever it is, lelo lumbolo ngithakatha, she kicked the bucket. So what I says ochaza into eningi, I said lalela, angikho interested. Hlala lapho nje anginamsebenzi. Usuzongitshela manje what you did. What must I do with that information? I'm not going to help you cross over. So, what must I do with that information? Deal with the karmic consequences of your actions. Fine. Shuthi ke le relative ibona ukuthi we mame yaqumbe phansi inyanga yami. Wagijima ke waya kulogogo lo. Wagijima waya. How? Ngiyamangala mina. Uyazi ukuthi ngendlela abegange ngayo. Hey, angazi nje, angazi. Really angazi. Uyazi ukuthi the affliction that they cooked up, irrelative yami wakhona. They cooked up an affliction yokuthi maku vuke inxeba elidala ekudala laphola emzimbeni wami. I had a gallbladder removal surgery in 2000 and something, I think 2021 or something, right? It was very, very tough. The surgeon struggled to remove gallbladder yam. And the recovery process was extremely painful, but I did recover. They cooked up an affliction. Yokuvuselela leyo pain. Awucabangi into seyaphola kudala. Yokuvuselela leyo pain. Right? So they put some sort of poison there. Mayeshu uMakhulu. Leyo entity yabo kushuthi ifaka lo poison lapha in the region of my gallbladder. Kushuthi ngoba gallbladder isekho sekukhona common bile duct. Thina baba ifake lapha common bile duct. So again now I was supposed to be low over inhlungu to the point where I rushed to the hospital. What is the first thing they're going to do esibhedlela? Bazakufaka idrip. Bakufaka idrip, ihambe ichefu, ihambe umzimba wonke, gone. Right? I said, interesting. I was in excruciating pain, right? And le pain yaqala after futhi ngifilme the last episode. Ngezwa kahle ukuthi yazini. I need to be hospitalized ASAP. Uyazi ukuthi ngavuka ebusuku because the pain was unbearable. I was tossing and turning in bed. Ngavuka ngiyintatha ngeza la endumbeni. Ngenza case break. And kule case breaker andibange ngisathetha kakhulu. I just said bantu abadala niyayazi, you saw my letter, noThixo uyayazi. I've got nothing else to say. But one thing I do know, I will not be bullied by a spiritual bully. I will not. I'm breaking that curse. And so ngenza this curse breaker. Ngalelo viki. It was a Monday or a Tuesday. Yaqala vele ipain yasubside. Kuthe ngo-Friday. My sister, bengisebenza nje wangiyeka vele ngasebenza. She knows. Ngithi ngiyamtshela ukuthi hey kwenziwe ukuthi nokuthi. Mangiqeda ukusebenza ngithi ngiyohlala naye ke sitting room sithi ukuchilla nje relax kancane ngibe ke ngiprepare for this episode. Athi khona indaba ekhona la. Naku kuthiwa gone. Instead of feeling any type of gratification, ngivele ngazizwa ngidumala ukuthi I was in shock and disbelief ukuthi I no longer have to deal nalo gogo. Hey, lo gogo balimazile abantu. And I never thought ukuthi in helping abantu abalimazile nami uzodila nami. And I was in disbelief. I said, are you sure about this? Is it not a hoax? Wavula kama website on News 24 bana said, never underestimate idlozi and what they say when they go to God on your behalf. So it's very important to respect the powers that be and to also understand ukuthi akekho umuntu ohamba yedwa. When a person who knows how to pray effectively, who knows how to communicate with a higher power, now goes to leyo higher power, ayobalisa ngawe. And they are backed up by inyembezi zabanye abantu balimazile. You're going to be in trouble. You know, guys, when uthakatha omunye umuntu, you're going head to head with God. Because you are saying, ukuthi God, the guide of their destiny, God, is crazy for giving that person a destiny that leads them to happiness and fulfillment. Ubona ukuthi kungcono eyakho iversion yokuthi they must be miserable and lose faith in God, lose faith in their guides and ancestors. They must be living in excruciating pain la emhlabeni. Uyabona? Imandate yakho wena ubona ukuthi na idestiny bafanele. And then you go against the guide of destiny, the source of life la emhlabeni. Because you've decided ukuzenza uThixo in people's lives. I'm telling you now that when God deals with you, it is going to be shocking is an understatement. Shocking is an understatement. Because it's going to be like God didn't even lift a finger. Wow, stop uthakatha abantu. uMakhulu explained to you ukuthi when you curse somebody, you have to bewitch yourself first. Nithini ke ngale relative esingananyanga manje sekumele agqiqa athole enye inyanga just because seeing uNonceba makes me uncomfortable. Heal. uNonceba doesn't even spend the light of day thinking about you. I know uthi angithakatha uMakhulu ungixelele and then it's like, oh, ngiqhubekeke nento zami mina. So uyabona ukuthi you're focusing all this attention on a person who's not reciprocating. Uyaziphambanisa. You know? But the minute you cross the line, I know exactly how to bring you back in line. Okay? I'm probably going to add this as bonus content. Uguti, I want you guys to take the passing of this false healer as a warning. Uguti, nobody is above God. Niyamazi bekhoma etreatnishingi anza abantu enza yonke into le unsavory engiyangisayo. Engiyangisayo esabekayo. Fika ingane zabantu la zilimele ngendlela eyisimanga ngithi how. And it's so appropriate to bring this false healer up in this episode where we're talking about sexual intercourse because ebegudi kabi ke kuthakatheni intweni ze sexual intercourse. Agadla pheka amalumba asabekayo. Umuntu lo. Kodwa wazisho wathi yena kasu umuntu angithi. Wathi uzilwane ezidibene. Ziphi ilwane manje? Hey, you need to be careful and you need to respect life. Okay? So take i-passing yakhe as a lesson. Nina enthakathayo. Ukuthi nibone ukuthi you're not above God, you're not above anybody's ancestors. In fact, you are in a disadvantaged position ngoba your high vibrational guides and ancestors akuflathele. Ngoba uyabahlaza. You look absolutely black when they look at you. If ulimnyama tsepu coming from you, and then you think they want to be associated nawe, bazobheka le. Ningasibizi. Nasikufika kulo mntwana. Do you know how many guides and ancestors have come into my sessions? High vibrational ones. Bebizwa abantwana baba ba low vibrational. Bavele bathi sifuna ntoni apha? Uthi usibizela ntoni? Hayi uthi uzawufuna impendulo zantoni? Akazazi yena uba wenzani. Abanye they just come to I guess ukuhlonipha uMphemba bese bayahamba. Sengihleli ke mina nawe. Nami ngiyabuka ngithi That's why ke ngayeka to take sessions from low vibrational people. I said I'm done. Because I need to, for me, mangihleli laphana and channeling your energy, it distorts my frequency. Unitshelile nje uMakhulu in episode bukayikai. Ukuthi the low frequency wave is going to distort the high frequency wave. Okay. So hloniphani impilo, there's a lot of happiness and joy and fulfillment, success and prosperity that you can come to. Ngokuhlonipha impilo, uMakhulu is plugging you with the knowledge, with the wisdom, with the gems. Ukuthi there is an opposite to ubuthakathi. It is more effective, it is brighter. Okay, and the results are long lasting. And it also ensures your crossover when it's time for you to separate from your emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies. Okay. Nihloniphe nje impilo, niphile kahle. It's not late. If usakhona la emhlabeni, if you have not entered the separation phase, usanethuba lokuphila kahle. Do it. Do it. You won't regret it. Okay. Empilweni uyamhlonipha nje umuntu ngoba akekho umuntu ohamba yedwa. All right, let's get into this episode. So, before we begin today's episode, uMakhulu wants me to teach you guys how to pray, okay? How to politely request assistance from your guides and ancestors, the you part of pray, okay? So, politeness is an attribute of respect, okay? So, you have to show respect to your guides and ancestors who are what? Who are closer to God in terms of frequency. Ngoba they are in a realm, right, of a higher frequency compared to the realm that you are in. All right. So they have a closer connection to this God energy, provided Uguti they were able to achieve crossover and they are high vibrational. So you need to now be polite in addressing your ancestors. Show respect by addressing them. All right, guys, those of you who go around spreading this notion ukuthi God doesn't want our guides and ancestors. Please explain that logic, nonsensical logic to me. Engabafuni nje bafunani ku-DNA yakho. Engabafuni nje, why did they lay the foundation for you to be here? Engabafuni nje. So akafuni your guides and ancestors ufuna yay. Nje into enobulima mina ubulima lobo, ubulima. I'm not insulting you, I'm telling you. Bubulima. Okay? God is extremely high vibrational, and respect is a high vibrational energy. So you respect, you venerate your guides and ancestors. They did way too much to ensure your very existence, and they still do too much. They still do the most to ensure ukuthi ubomi bakho buyahamba, to ensure ukuthi uyavuka every day. You still have a chance to embark on healing, to change the trajectory of ubomi bakho. Ingxaki yenu ni lazy. You don't want to do your healing. You don't want to heed their guidance. You want them to come and do stuff for you. Nazi naspoiled. They must come and do things for you because they're your skivvies. That's not how life works. Mphemba has taught you throughout this podcast how life works. You desire, you communicate, you act, create, and birth. Learn to align so your lives make sense. Okay? There is no such notion yokuthi God does not want our guides and ancestors. Whoever told you that ebezama ukukufufisa ngoba efuna ukuthi impilo yakhe ingenzi sense, ayikho leyo nto leyo. You respect your guides and ancestors. That pleases God. That pleases God. Ngumntwana ohloniphayo. So ke ngoku, you start by greeting, obviously, because you're talking to who now? Your guides and ancestors, and you're being polite. You're showing respect. So ke ndiyabulisa oban. So ke, if you know itakazelo zakowenu, then you go into itakazelo. If you don't, you just say the surnames. If you're a child of wedlock, you venerate both mother and father's ancestors. If you are a child of the maiden home, you venerate your mother's ancestors. Ish iba tricky indaba of venerating your father's ancestors if they have not taken the necessary actions to rectify the whole situation. Yoguti, you were born out of wedlock. Okay, it depends. Got ngama clans. It depends. So, as a high vibrational being, again, our humble blind and you find out about your lineage. You try to find out and know ukuthi uqhamuka ngaphi. Okay, the stock that you come from. All right. How are you going to know where you're going if you just have no clue where you come from? Like, no, you need to know where you come from. Have some sort of idea. Okay, that also helps the strengths and weaknesses, that may be there in the lineage. By and the stories, zama predecessors akho. So even if mhlambe kwabanye imindeni yahlukana kwalahleka ulibo whatnot, try to find these things out and ask for assistance from your guides and ancestors. You guys want instant gratification. Nifuna ukucela manje and get an answer now. No. You ask, and sometimes there's a chain of events that needs to occur for your prayer to be answered. Okay, so you need to pay attention, right? And you need to exercise your spiritual maintenance. Maintain yourself high vibrational. It helps a lot. Okay, so now you've greeted and venerated your ancestors. So yes, bigage. Okay, I am so and so umntana wenu. Okay, I am so and so your child. Right, good. And then after Zbigile, you now do what? You give gratitude. Okay, because your high vibrational guides and ancestors, they do a lot for you behind the scenes that you don't know of, that you don't see. Okay, but you do see the evidence of it, right? Because we are vuka. every morning, and they are there. They protect you from certain hidden dangers you know nothing of. Okay, kusemhlabeni la umhlaba uyahlaba, so there is a lot of energies, right, that could potentially injure you, harm you, that they protect you from, okay, that you have no idea of. They guide you through dreams as well. So uyabulela, you show gratitude. Gratitude ke iyabathokozisa because it shows appreciation for the work that they do. So ke ndiyabulela, okay, ndibulela uba nindikhusele, ndibulela intontoni, ndibulela intontoni. I see your work kwi-life journey yam, right? After you give gratitude, yeah, now so bega ini udaba, right? Now so thula udaba lakho ba ngoba ngize la kunina namhlanje, this is what is bothering me, and then again you start explaining, right? Before you ask for help, all right? Some of you when you pray, hayi ndizocela ubani ndincede ngento, beka udaba lwakho qala, okay, lubeke. State your case. All right? When you go to a court case, you don't go there, you don't see lawyers going there and saying, Judge, we're asking for a minimum sentence, or we're asking for... They first state, I'm affected case evidence. Utnaye evidence, Judge. So ke ngoku, based off of this evidence, sicela isigwebo sukuthi. Okay? So ke, you then state your case. I have a problem. I'm here because of this issue that I'm struggling with. All right? So this is your chance now to flourish. This is your chance ukuthi ucebe, to tell on anybody who's been affecting you negatively. You have to make sure ne ukuthi you go back while digela, right? Expose kwasani, be anything that is affecting you ngobani, because by them affecting you, right, by these energies affecting you, it's a big deal because they can hinder my crossover. So you need to state zonke lezi zinto that have now come to your awareness ukuthi they are affecting you, right? And then after you state your case, then ubega the request, right? Now I am requesting justice. I'm requesting this. I'm requesting that. I'm requesting a resolution that is going to bring me peace. That is, do you get what I mean? After you can now ask for other things. Okay, I'm also asking that you help bring in my manifestation of this. I'm working on this. Okay, it's not just a matter of please bring me this and give me this and bless me with this. I am working on this. Okay, I currently go to work every day and I put in some overtime or whatnot because I'm trying to reach this financial goal. Okay, you guys wonder, God doesn't answer. Because you're not even taking the physical... Well, when are you misaligned? You're not taking the physical action that is required. You're just communicating, and then what? You need to act. Okay? So that when this prayer is answered, it finds you in action, and this thing is now created, and you're able to birth it. Impendulo yomkhuleko wakho. After you've put forward your requests, you then give thanks again, okay? But now you give thanks to show what? To show belief. To not just show gratitude, but to show belief, okay? To show your level of trust in the divine. To show ukuthi you know ukuthi they will not let you down. Okay? Ndiyabulela uba you've received my request, and ndibulela uba izawufezeka. I know uba izawufezeka. As long as it is for my highest good, I know uba izawufezeka. And I am grateful. For ukufezeka kwe-request yam. That is the backbone, I guess, yomthandazo wakho. That is the spine, yomthandazo wakho. So you build on leso spine. All right. Very important. That ensures ukuthi your communication is effective. Now, you use the elements of the universe, okay, to ensure effective communication. And ikhandlela is perfect. It represents your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies, right? And your ancestors and guides resonate with ikhandlela because it is a fossil fuel. It is a byproduct of processing a fossil fuel, right? A fossil fuel are animals and plants that existed ngumhlaba wokhokho singakabi khona thina. So they resonate with that. Okay. So you use your candle, and it's also important ukubeka a clear glass of water. Why? Because you're communicating with high vibrational beings who are now in their emotional body. Okay, which is represented by the water element of the universe. So bega mans pa. Just a glass of water. Okay? Minaga, I have an entire glass jug of water that I have there, and my candles, delight in pepo, dipashle. Okay. You can light incense. Incense does not connect you to your ancestors. You are already connected. It just clears interferences. Okay. It just cleanses and purifies the space to clear any stagnant energies that might interfere with this communication. Okay. So it is for cleansing purposes. It is not for connecting purposes. You are already connected to your divine team, guys. Okay. All right. So today's dingita indaba ye sexual intercourse. All right. So now we've established compass can serve car, hopefully. And we are in this romantic relationship, and we want to now move things in the direction of sexual interaction with one another. Okay. So I'm going to cover sexual intercourse in the various relationship types that uMakhulu mentioned. Because as a human being, you fall into either one of these three. Okay, so it is either you are part of a soulmate romantic relationship, or you're part of a twin soul romantic relationship, noma ugwi karmic romantic relationship. Okay, so sexual intercourse, right, is the act of two macabres coming together in order to create and birth another macabre. What, Gogo? Yes. When you come and have sexual relations with another macabre, right? Information is exchanged. There is interference, right? You guys exchange energy. And depending on which macabre is high vibrational and which one is low vibrational, the high vibrational one is going to be distorted. And so what you will see is a creation that is birthed from this distorted frequency. Okay. So sexual intercourse is creative in its nature. It always creates. All right. When you engage in sexual intercourse between two different genders, male and female, you usually then create another macabre in the form of another human being. Okay. When you engage in sexual intercourse with another human being of the same sex, there is still a coming together of macabres, and there is still a creation, a macabre that is created. Okay. Now, this creation may not be a physical human being, okay, but it is an energy, right, that is created there. And if this energy, manje, is distorted because one is high vibrational, one is low vibrational, you're going to see a creation of this distorted frequency. Okay. Now, people don't cleanse. People have all kinds of things and entities abanye that they walk with, all kinds of energies that they've collected, okay? And these energies and entities can manifest, right, from this distortion, this distorted frequency. They can manifest, okay? That's why I guess some of you come into my sessions and I find ukuthi whoa, kukhona into entity ohamba nayo, okay? Not that ukuthi khona ukuthakathile wakuthumela leyo nto, you had sexual relations with somebody, right, who had this entity, and then you came together, right, and a frequency wave was created, right, that was distorted because this low vibrational person has this entity. And so what is created is this entity in your energy, but it is not exactly identical to the person who introduced it to you. It has its own frequency wave. Okay. And so you have this entity ehamba nawe that is now going to distort your life. Now this happens in same-sex sexual relations and heterosexual relations, right? But heterosexual relationships, I need a physical form. The energy will condense and form a human being. Okay? Because it's yin yang. Okay? When it's same sex, it's yin yin or yang yang. Okay? And so something is still created, but it does not create a human being. A human being cannot be formed from same-sex sexual relations. Okay? But that does not exempt the spiritual creation. Remember, everything is created spiritually before it births physically. Okay? So this energy is going to birth in your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies. And it may not be in the form of a physical human being in same-sex relationships, but in heterosexual relationships, then there is a chance of a physical human being formed as well. Okay? Why, Gogo? Remember, the energy condenses. Okay? And as the energy condenses between male and female, the condensation continues. Okay? Up until a human being is birthed here. With same-sex relationships, the condensation continues, right? And then it stops at a level where the energy is conducive to exist. Okay, remember uMakhulu mentioned this, the difference in frequency. So, okay, you find ukuthi whatever this thing is birthed, izohlala la in your emotional body. Okay, in same-sex relationships. And then again, it is going to affect your emotional body, which is still attached to your physical body, to your mental body, to your spiritual bodies. Now you're going to see changes. You're going to see ukuthi konke khona ke manje. Okay. Your water element emzimbeni wakho, your hormones are going to start ukwenza izinto ezingacacanga because now there's something there. Okay, there is something there. And so you're going to see also physically, something's wrong physically. You know, kunama unpleasant symptoms that you're having physically. Okay, points to something now being there. All right. Same as the heterosexual relationships. If a child forms from this union, right, and there was this entity that was there, the frequency wave that results is going to affect umntana. Kubalulekile, guys, to be careful of the people you reproduce with. Okay? For those of you in heterosexual relationships, very, very important. Be careful of the people you engage in unprotected sexual intercourse with. Okay? Where a pregnancy can result. Because if there is something wrong, abanye benu, you miscarry halfway through I'm pregnant. Right? Because it interferes with that condensation process. Okay? and iba too heavy or taxing on the developing, growing, and maturing body of the child, right? And then ingane shabalala. Kukhona-ke nabanye who practice witchcraft, who bewitch themselves in order to curse you. Kukhona kabanye who exercise this type of witchcraft ekuthiwa ukuthwala. Okay, so they deliberately go and get this entity, right? They introduce it into your energy. So now you've got an entity that has been created from these two macabres, okay? From the union of these two macabres, right? And when you don't do anything to cleanse and cut cords after having sexual intercourse, then you're giving consent to Guti, you want this entity in your body. So this entity is going to prevent your children from manifesting, from being birthed. Okay, because izothatha ke le makhaba yalabantwana ihambise kumntwana high vibrational, ihambise that high vibrational energy to the false healer ofufise lo othweleke ukuthi now my riches. Okay, the first time I had a client who came through, isigangi lesi sizazi kahle ukuthi isithwele, and his late wife's mother came through, and again she explained the whole situation, and I saw all these babies. Oh man, woo! Yeah, ngasho ngathi hey, angiyazi mina inhliziyo yomuntu ukuthi ihamba. Mayisithe imnyama, you need to heal ama wounds. Because you can bleed onto... Guys, have you seen a blood stain? Ioma ibe brownish, darkish. Can you imagine? You have layers and layers of that tint. You need to heal. You need to peel back those layers. And we need to go back to the wound and cleanse it. Sipole. Because uzolimaza ingathi awubhadlanga. You know? Uthwele leso sithwalo ke. That was introduced to the wife through sexual intercourse, and again, every time she falls pregnant, she miscarries. I think kwa miscarry kwaze kwaba ka 7. Bahlala lapha emagate. Akukuhle, you know. After she passed, angithi bethwele ngaye. So say ihambile ke ivessel yakhe yokuthwala, he started losing everything. Confiscate yonke into nje ifurniture kwaqala kwaba empty ke in that mansion. But again, very important to understand ukuthi sexual intercourse is creative in its nature. Okay, so why does uMakhulu stress ukuthi you must cut cords when you leave relationships? Why must you cut cords? You have to cut cords, ne? In order to cut the connection, in order to stop feeding your light energy to this evil entity, also that you got from this person that you were engaging in sexual intercourse with. Okay, so sexual intercourse in a soulmate romantic connection, provided uguti compass can serve car checked out, right? Usually is creative in its nature, and it leads to the creation of these new macabres in the form of babies. Okay. Now, this union is usually blessed because compass can serve card checked out. And your guides and ancestors use it to perpetuate the lineage. Okay. That does not mean you neglect your spiritual maintenance just because the relationship is accepted and approved by your guides and ancestors. You have to uphold spiritual maintenance. Okay. Where love energy is present, there is truth, there is honesty, there is ease of communication. Okay. There is kindness, compassion, right? There is care. They are acts of service. All right. So all of that needs to be upheld. That's why a relationship is work. Okay. Because you constantly uphold compass can serve car. You constantly assess compass can serve car Just because Compass Can Serve card checks out, it does not mean that it will always check out. Umuntu is an energy being, okay? So once umuntu starts to neglect spiritual maintenance, it's a problem. Because you'll find ukuthi a couple years back, Compass Can Serve card checked out, and then few years down the line, in this romantic soulmate connection, Compass Can Serve card is off kilter. What is happening? Okay, communication is very, very important. All right. Akusizi-ke ukuthi when you feel like your relationship, there are issues, and you're not happy. You choose to not address the issue, and you choose to go and cheat or entertain other people in the romantic sense. Introducing a third party through cheating into this beautiful romantic connection where Compass Can Serve card checked out is actually disadvantaging self. Okay. uMakhulu had mentioned in the previous episode, episode 6, having a one-night stand, right, with various people is like having a key holder. It accumulates my keys to all the doors of poverty in life. So ke uzozibona empilweni a few years down the line ungaachivanga any kind of success. You know? Because you collected all the keys to the doors of poverty instead of maintaining your key, the main key, the master key to the door of success. So okay, it's very important also to cleanse individually in a soulmate connection where Compass Can Serve card checked out. Just because you guys are in a romantic connection, it doesn't mean you neglect your individual responsibilities, okay, of spiritual maintenance of self. So you still practice those. All right. The issue comes in where now sinister energy creeps in, where now you're doing things in secret. Don't open the door for low vibrational energies to come into your relationships. Okay. Because they will have a field day with that relationship. Bayihlakaze, bayicabe. Hey, bayicabe ngathi thambo. Let's shebo. Usuke wonke umkantsha in the bone. Kusale nje impuphu. So you need to be very, very careful, okay? And every time you engage in sexual intercourse, you have to cleanse, okay? You have to cleanse. If you're in a loving soulmate connection, you don't need to do a cord cutting, obviously. But if you are not in a loving soulmate connection, then you need to do a cord cutting. Because sexual intercourse is an exchange of energy and it depolarizes your energy. That's why where there is a standard deviation between the two frequencies, a distorted frequency wave results. Okay. So you want to remove that distortion. You want to cleanse that distortion. Because once it is created, it has to be birthed. So you will see the manifestation of that distortion in your life. Okay, uzoyibona manifesta ebomini bakho. So then we move on to sexual intercourse in twin soul connections. A twin soul connection has to result in marriage. Okay, if it does not result in marriage, it is not a twin soul connection, because the whole point of a twin soul connection is to rectify an imbalance, okay, that occurred kudala kokhokho benu. Okay, in a loving soulmate connection where Compass Can Serve card checked out, a high vibrational connection that will be of benefit to the lineage, where now marriage has taken place, right, is similar to that of a soulmate connection, but different in the sense that by the time that the two twins come together, they lose any type or any kind of desire to sexually engage with other individuals. Okay, they lose it completely. So it is one of the most rare, most challenging romantic relationships to establish. But once it is established and once this curse is resolved upon this marriage taking place, then sexual intercourse is, you guys can have a field day with one another in a twin soul connection. Because like I said, chances of you engaging with others, very low. You still maintain, or in the sexual sense, you still maintain your spiritual maintenance. Obviously, you still uphold your spiritual maintenance rather, because you are an individual. You interact with other people at work, just out in public, right? So okay, you still cleanse, right? But yeah, cord cutting, I mean, you'd only do a cord cutting if mhlambe khona okuthakathayo ukuthumela some sort of entity, you know. But yeah, it's a very protected and protective kind of relationship. So sexual intercourse is just something that you can truly enjoy and thoroughly in a twin soul connection without much worry. You also find in a twin soul connection, Wuti, you guys have telepathic communication with one another in a way, because you can sense what goes on with your significant other. You get dream messages about them. You guys get warnings. You know, it's a relationship that is very protected and nurtured by our guides and ancestors on both sides, because it is a romantic relationship that resolves a generational curse, a generational curse of pain, grief, despair, you name it, heartbreak. Okay, so sexual intercourse in this type of romantic relationship is a delicacy that you guys can enjoy whenever, wherever, but you still maintain and uphold your spiritual maintenance. Right. Then lastly, we have sexual intercourse in a karmic relationship, which is your guys' favorite. Okay? This is your guys' favorite. Ama karmic relationships anilalani. Terrible. These are the relationships that now open the door to all kinds, of witchcraft and yonke le huhai mess esibonayo. Okay. Iyona ke le perpetuator nalama entities, right? Because akunamlawu. Okay, there's no mthetho, there's nothing. Ulala nalo, because it's just one wounded person after the next and the next and the other, right? So it just becomes a sexual orgy. Is it an orgy or orgy? Orgy, I think, of wounded people. Left, right, center, left, right, center, left, right, center, right? At times, children manifest in these karmic relationships, right? And again, the karmic energy plays out. Sekhona nokunye ke futhi, because the thing that was passed on to umntwana has its own distorted frequency. So nomntana naye says, well, i-adult exhibit distortion yakhe naye unique. It's just a lot. It's a lot. I wish I don't want to lie. So ke ngoku, sexual intercourse in these types of relationships, honestly and truly, I wouldn't recommend, but it happens because again, there are generational curses as well that need to be resolved. Okay. Not much to say besides Guti. A lot of energies are passed on, unsavory energies are passed on through sexual intercourse in this relationship type, because abantu are wounded. Abantu have not healed. Okay. So then you would usually need to go and heal self and then attract a high vibrational soulmate. So you now upgrade to a soulmate relationship. Okay. Iyahlupha nje kakhulu i-sexual intercourse kuma-karmic relationships, because the layer a breeding ground of all kinds of unsavory energies to come to play. We see a lot of energies play out. Sibona abantwana abazalwa in those relationships benama unsavory characteristics. Terrible. So that is just the worst kind of romantic relationship you can be in. your aim should be to move out of a karmic relationship and move to a soulmate relationship. So it's very important for you guys to know, Tuguti, sexual intercourse is always creative, always. It is the coming together of two macabres, so it will always be creative, okay? And not just coming together as in you guys are within one another's vicinity, you are exchanging energy, okay? And once again, through this engagement of sexual intercourse, you're engaging in this sexual activity. Once you guys reach orgasm, right, that now completes the energetic exchange, right? When you achieve orgasm, and again, you have created, and now what is left to do is birth. Okay, so birth will take place. So Tinage, as high vibrational healers, we say to prevent birthing izinto ongazazi, depolarize, cleanse, do a cord cutting. Okay. If a pregnancy results from a karmic relationship and you really want to heal and you want to change your trajectory of your life and the child's life that you're going to birth, healing is still possible as well, okay? You cut cord. Cord cutting is not going to affect your child in a sense ukuthi izombulala umntana, no. Cord cutting is actually going to protect umntana from being affected by this evil entity, okay? You're cutting a connection to you and this evil entity so that it doesn't affect umntana wako as well, okay? So a pregnant woman, there are specific herbs that are created for them to cleanse, okay? Pregnant woman doesn't cleanse with everything. No, doesn't work like that. There are certain herbs that are protective during pregnancy. So that's why you need to know. That's why you need to be dealing with a true healer who knows what they are doing, who's receiving this wisdom and guidance from Idlo's Labo. Okay, guys, the sun is in my face. So in closing, I think masturbation is appropriate to cover as well in today's episode where we are discussing sexual intercourse between these human beings, right? Oh, uMakhulu is saying, Guti, I must mention, in cases where sexual intercourse is enforced upon an individual, right? You need to cleanse. You need to cleanse. You need to cleanse. If you find yourselves in that precarious situation where you're now a victim, okay, you need to cleanse, you need to do a cord cutting, especially abantwana. You need to make sure that cord is cut, okay? Because sure enough, leyo that possessed the perpetrator to attack umntana or to attack the victim is going to be manifested kulo mntwana or manifested in that victim's life. Okay? If you do nothing about it, izohamba ibahluphe leyo nto empilweni. Okay? Big wound. So they have this entity, they also have the wound yakhona. It's a lot. So cleansing is very important. Okay? When you find yourselves victims of sexual harassment, so to speak, where there is that takes place, okay? In terms of masturbation igabili. So you're not engaging with anybody physically, but you're engaging emotionally, mentally, spiritually, right? Because again, you have either this person in mind that you're masturbating to, you have a particular experience, I guess, that sexually arouses you, that you're masturbating to. Let's say you were interacting with people the whole day, you were at work, whatnot, right? And that obviously affects your macabre. And mhlambe interacta nosbanbani onesilwane asibelekile and whatnot. And then when you come home and you masturbate, you know, already that interaction angithi was affecting your macabre. And so manje when you masturbate, it's like now you are allowing the creation or the manifestation of that energy, of those energies. So it creates a type of distortion that naming I understand. Masturbation. So not to say Guti, I guess don't masturbate, but be responsible, I guess, in masturbating. Masturbate to cleanse, depolarize, or rather cleanse and then masturbate. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it because of the things that I've seen, obviously. Abanye, they bewitch you, ukuthi, baganga bathakathi guys, uzokuthumela this entity ukuthi, in order to get consent yakhe, ungangeni engamasturbateanga miyeka amasturbate ungeneke yabona, because now angithi you need to this thing needs to birth into you. So if now you're masturbating and mhlambe you're masturbating to whatever it is you're masturbating to, but uqushiwe ngoba khona lento lena elindile vele ukuthi it is going to engage in that creation process and then birth into your physical reality. So these are things that happen, I can't not tell you guys, I can't not share. So kubalulekile nje to spiritual maintenance, uphold it. It's there to protect you. Okay. But masturbation can also be a good thing. It can be a tool of manifestation in the case where you're a human being who exercises their spiritual maintenance and awekho kama entities oxushwe ngawo ukuthi mayethi nje uthi ungene yabo. Some people do use it to manifest, okay? Because achieving orgasm is a complete energy transfer. So okay, if they want their houses or their cars, then they masturbate to that, But it's very difficult, I guess, because you have to focus on layer, ngoba you need to engage it physically, engage it emotionally, mentally, right? So that again, by the time you achieve orgasm spiritually, it attaches. So it is a form of manifesting, but it's a difficult form of manifesting because a lot of people do not exercise spiritual maintenance, and there's too many things going on, too many interferences. So usually kuba abantu who I guess know what they're doing. I know a couple of white people who do it, who use that form of manifestation. Never worked for me ever. No, thank you. Angicabangi. Yeah, but it works for some. Kodwa ke ngoba ngisho ukuthi it comes with spiritual maintenance. All right. Okay, guys, look, I'm going to end today's episode there. It take home ukuthi, as a high vibrational human being, you have to be responsible. You have to engage in sexual intercourse responsibly. Okay? I mentioned to you in episode 1 ukuthi akukho lula ukuba a high vibrational human being, but it is worth it. Okay? It is not easy to acquire wealth, but it is worth it. Okay? There's a stark difference between wealth and riches. Okay? Riches into nje yamanje, into engashabalala namanje. Okay? Into ithola nange quick fix. All right? Not much knowledge and education behind it as well. Whereas the wealth comes with learning, wisdom. You need to know how to invest, what investment profile to open, how do you maintain the wealth, okay? So pursue wealth in your lives in terms of your spirituality, okay? Don't pursue riches, isn't this on fufisa? And then at the end of the day, right, when it all comes to this point of what it says, dibane masangwini, among my high vibrational realms, you are part of the filth that is sifted out. You can't cross over. Don't allow that to happen. Live right, okay? It doesn't cost you an arm and a leg to live right, okay? What it does cost you are low vibrational people leaving your life. You'll make them uncomfortable. And they'll start saying things like, uphakeme. Once umuntu ekubona ukuthi uphakeme, that's a good thing. Sanukoyika uphakama. When people say uphakeme, they are seeing the raised vibration of your frequency. That's a good thing. Okay? That's a good thing. So, okay, respect life, respect umhlaba, respect the people you share this time and space with, respect self, absolutely respect your guides and ancestors, and most of all, respect God, our guide of destiny. Thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. I will catch you guys in the next installment of the Healing Podcast with uGogo Mphemba. May your healing be absolute and profound. CAMAGU.